Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bases Loaded. It is just a duo today. It's just Chris and I. Blake had some family stuff that came up, so we're not going to get the Astros side of the talk, which is fine. We don't need that. We can just talk about the NL West here with the Diamondbacks and the Padres. We're coming up on the All-Star break, including tonight. There's 4 games left. The All-Star game is in 5 days. The All-Star. All right. I want to actually talk about this. How stupid is the All-Star game voting? The popularity contest is so frustrating. The fact that Michael Harris II was in the Final Four for right? Yeah. Final Four for the outfield is a joke. It's a popularity contest. Take away fan voting. Just please, just take it away altogether. Because
but at the end of the day, it's an exhibition
and Toronto.
game.
All these Toronto players, how are they making All-Stars when they're?
It's sports branded. It's like how Yao Ming made the NBA All-Star game every year and never played a game. Like, it's like it is what it is. It's a popularity contest. It's an exhibition game that doesn't matter. Whoever wants, like, I'm honestly actually quite relieved that a lot of my guys aren't playing because I know they can use the rest. They can use the rest going into the break. So it's like it's one of those things where, whatever. It's like you watch the All-Star game for just the exhibition aspect of it. I don't watch it to watch like competition. I watch it to have fun. So it's like for me, it's whatever. Like if
it's just when you see that there are players that are deserving to go, but they're in markets where they just don't have a big fan base. Like Ketel Marte the last 6 weeks, I think has been his 2019 form. And I said it before the season. If they get 2019 MVP candidate Ketel Marte, they're going to make the playoffs. And right now they are on track for that. I think Ketel should have made it over Ozzy Albies, but Braves fans will disagree. They'll like, oh, he has more home runs, more runs driven in. But it's not; those aren't the stats to measure if a player is good or not. There are better and more advanced stats that you look at that say who's a better player.
Yeah,
I'm just glad
stats don't matter for the All-Star game.
It really doesn't. Like people that bring up stats, I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's a popularity contest. Had a certain player on the Padres not got busted last year for PEDs, he'd probably be an all-star right now because of what he's doing for the Padres. Fernando Tatis should be an all-star.
I will say one thing. Like I know we'll get into the NL West and we'll talk about the Padres in a little bit, but when it comes to Fernando, one thing I've seen from him, especially this past week, is not the way he's hitting for power, the way he's just like getting to balls, like grounding ones right between holes, like finding singles, like getting on base how he needs to. Like that's kind of an underrated X factor for him. Like obviously we know he has the speed, we know he has the power, but his ability right now to just make contact with the ball and put it in play and put it in places he needs to. There's been some clutch RBIs from him over the past couple of weeks, and
he had a moonshot on Sunday. That home
also
run,
true. Also
that
true.
was, that what like he can do. Like what I've been impressed is how good defensively he is in right field. The top 2 guys with outs above average in all of Major League Baseball is Ha-Seong Kim and Fernando Tatis Jr. Like that's crazy. Like everyone was judging because Tatis like misread a ball in like the first week of the season. Like, oh, is he going to be good in right field? Go look at it now.
Oh. Well, I mean, he's still learning though, because if you look at yesterday's game, there was one where a routine ground ball came out to him in the outfield, and he was so hyped to grab it and chuck it into the moon that he bobbled it, and it could probably cost him a run at that point. So obviously, there's still growing pains, but when I look at him, I look at our future center fielder for the next like 5-10 years, just out there, just covering that area and making just amazing plays. But yeah, his ability to just pick people, like cut people off on throws, like it's fantastic to watch, man. It really is.
I think my favorite throw that he's made was the one where he is facing his body is throwing to second, and he changes his arm at the last second. Some people would say the guy got back in at first, but I thought it was close.
He hit him with the Old Mahomes.
He really did. I'm like, I'm looking this way, but I'm gonna throw this way.
Yeah.
Like he's been like, I personally feel like he's probably number 4 in the NL MVP. I think he's higher than Juan Soto, even though Juan Soto is an all-star.
That's crazy. I mean, it's crazy that you talk about two players in the Padres with their record and the way this season has gone being MVP candidates, but it's just it's the weirdness of this season. I mean, you look at every stat you can when it comes to the Padres, and there is no reason this team should be under 500, and yet they are under. They are under by a good amount. Like it just fascinates you, like the season that they've had. Like we were talking about before we came on, like obviously we can look at probably like 10 to 15 games that have been like a 1 to 2 run difference for this Padres team, and they could easily be flipped. And if they did, we're talking about them, you know, up against Diamondbacks in the NL West. Like it's just been such a weird season for this team, and hopefully they're finally finding their groove this week, because it's finally been an enjoyable week to be a Padres fan.
Yeah, like let's just say that let's just go with the ballpark number 10. So that would probably make them 51-41. They'd probably be in second place right now.
Yeah.
Like that is so crazy to me.
Well, it's just like when you look on MLB, their expected win-loss, the Giants and the Diamondbacks are all at 47 and 40 for their expected wins and losses.
Yeah. Yeah, like the NL West is like competitive, and then there's Colorado. Colorado's just okay. I said this. I want to talk about this. The fact that the Angels scored 25 runs in a game, and they lost the series. They lost Friday and Sunday.
It was amazing.
I'm like, that is such an Angels thing to do.
Well, I mean, speaking of Angels things to do, I feel like the clock was set for that time of year, especially with
they set it to July 4th.
Yeah. Like, what was it like? I feel like it was like a 3-hour like time frame or something like that. Like when just crazy with Trout's fluke injury, which just so weird the way it happened. Like watching because I was at the game, so
it was just a foul ball.
Yeah.
And it didn't even hit his hand. He just something happened. And then, like you said, Rendon is not shocking because ever since he's gotten to Anaheim, he's been hurt. Like that contract is not looking good for them. Like,
I mean, it hasn't looked good. Like he's injured again.
Yeah, he's injured again. Everyone kind of flipped out over Ohtani leaving in his start. But I'm like, y'all, if you paid attention, same thing happened to him like 2-3 starts ago. It's just a blister that popped, and he can't grip the ball. It's not a big deal. He's not going to pitch in the All-Star game, which kind of a bummer because he's probably who was going to start for the American League, especially with it in Seattle and all the amount of Japanese population they have there in Seattle. That would have been something. I think he's still going to DH.
Oh, know he's still going to hit.
He's going to. When he connects, it's just like, dear Lord. It's like unfreaking real. Like
I saw him play 2 games in person, and I still haven't seen that, so I don't know.
His month of June was insane.
Yeah.
14 home runs. I want him to break Judge's home run record because Yankees fans were saying Judge is more valuable because he hit more home runs. What are you going to say when Ohtani hits more and also probably wins more games?
200 strikeouts?
Yeah, 200 strikeouts with like 12, 13 wins. Like, to me, it's not even close for AL MVP right now. It is Ohtani.
It shouldn't. Unless somebody goes out there and hits 80 home runs this season, which is not going to happen. Like, there's no reason
it's going to be Ohtani that does
it. But it's like we sit there and talk about him breaking a home run record, and it's like, oh yeah, that's great. But he's also a top 5 pitcher in the American League, and it just blows your absolute mind. Like, on 4th of July, it was the first time in his entire professional career, America or Japan, that he gave up back-to-back home runs in a game. Like, that's crazy.
Absolutely insane to me. But let's actually talk about our series of the week. I personally feel like it is the battle of the two teams that have not met expectations whatsoever. The Mets go to San Diego to play the Padres, 3-game series to start the weekend. Start the week. I mean, start the week to end the week and before the All-Star break. I mean, this is big for both teams. Right now, the Mets have won 2 straight against the Diamondbacks. They are up 2-0 here. So they might win 3 in a row. Padres are also have won 3 in a row. Just swept the Angels. So it's a big series for both. Just the amount of money between these two, and the fact is they both are not like it's about the same record.
Yeah, no,
Padres are up by a game.
Yeah, the big difference is the Mets are 18 games back in the East, and the Padres are somehow only 9 games back in the East. But no, I think especially going into the All-Star break, I think this is a massive series for both teams, especially to kind of get your head right going into the All-Star break. You're both coming off a big series wins, so you really want to keep that momentum going. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, you know, I think we got you going on Friday, and then I think Musgrove said that he's going to try and pitch on Sunday, so he's going to try and go on Sunday, which will be good to see. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a crucial matchup for both teams.
Verlander and Darvish is Friday,
which I'll get to go see, so I'm very excited for that. We've got Snell going Saturday, and then yeah, it's not announced officially, but it sounds like Musgrove's going to go on Sunday. So I mean, they're definitely doing what they can. It's not going to be Waka, but you know.
Well, yeah, he went
I know
IL like 4 days ago, so
somebody that probably got snubbed from the All-Star team, but you can maybe make that case for a couple starting pitchers on that podcast.
If they would get rid of the rule that every team has to have a player, I think we'd see a lot less snubs.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Because you see players like Michael Lorenzen of the Detroit Tigers. That is no. I think they need to get rid of that rule. I'm like, if they have someone that
Padres wouldn't have had an All-Star representative for like 7 years. Like, I'm fine with the rule.
I think they have to be decent. Like Michael Lorenzen is not good. Like that is not an All-Star worthy season. Like I think he won his 3rd game today, so he's 3-6, like a mid-5 ERA. It's not good at all.
Yeah,
like it is. It's despicable to watch.
But I mean, there's actually a couple great series this weekend. Like I'm sure Blake would mention Houston, Seattle. So that series I think kicked off tonight. But Atlanta, Tampa Bay, you've got arguably the 2 best teams in baseball right now, or record-wise in baseball, like going at it. So that's going to be interesting. Even Cincinnati, Milwaukee, like Cincinnati coming off that sweep, being in first place, like getting a chance to really like cement themselves. And I mean, how about that Reds team, dude? How fun are they to watch right now? Like I got a chance to watch them obviously when they beat the Padres, but I mean, there's so much young talent on that team, and it seems like they're really gelling. And Joey Votto coming back, like it seems like they're in place to do something magical this year.
Some people say that Ellie De La Cruz should have made the All-Star team because you want the best players in baseball. I'm like, the dude's what, maybe 100 at bats? He's been phenomenal. I am not disputing that fact, but it is something that has to be earned.
Yeah.
He's going to be there next year. Don't worry about it.
Let him go play in the futures game.
No, I think Ellie's unfreaking real. His like he like grew drastically.
Yeah.
From when they signed him. Like I think they said he grew like 6 inches in like 6 months. Like he was like 5'10", and then they're like, "Oh shoot, he's 6'5". Okay, hit the weight room. We need to fill out that body proportionally."
Yeah, I mean, you look at those guys like this new wave with like Tatis and Cruz and also Cruz, O'Neal Cruz.
Cruz
obviously hurt right now. who's obviously hurt right now, but just incredibly tall, athletic dudes playing these middle infield positions. Like I think it's great for the game. It's so much fun, and obviously getting the cycle so early in his career, just a crazy, crazy environment. But yeah, man, the Reds are a really fun team that we're gonna have to keep an eye on the second half of the season.
Yeah, they have been extreme. Like I think I saw they won like 20 of 24. So they're I know we talked about how messed the Central is on both sides. Reds are at least making it. So it was all right. At least there's a team that is worthy of it. They also got some good young starting pitching too.
Yeah.
I think it's Williamson. He pitched very, very well. Like Reds, watch out, y'all. Reds could be this year's Baltimore, where they bring up a young stud and it just gives the entire team life, and they ride it, and it's a lot easier to probably win the NL Central than it is to win the AL East. I think the Reds by far are the better team. They also got a good closer, brother of Edwin Diaz, Alexis Diaz, who I wanted the Diamondbacks to trade for last month. I was like, that is someone I had my eye on. And then they brought up Ellie De La Cruz. I'm like, it's not happening now.
Well, and especially I'm like, they are definitely not trading their closer at this point.
No, they may be looking to get some arms themselves.
I mean, they might be buyers now, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's the wildness of this game, man. 1 month and one like huge streak can really flip your fortunes and kind of change the direction of what your franchise is looking at.
And then there's the Braves that they were already doing good and they had an insane month. Like, I think the Braves are way ahead of any other team in Major League Baseball. We were talking about Tampa to start the year. Tampa's kind of come back down to earth. Atlanta's just separate. Like, Atlanta has like eight All-Stars. Most of them are deserving. There's a couple you're like, I probably could have picked someone else, but they're having good seasons. Matt Olson, for those who don't know, I think since 2018 has the second most home runs in Major League Baseball. Not sure a lot of people would like if you would have. All right, outside of Aaron Judge, who do you think has the most home runs? I bet a lot of people would say Vlad Jr. I don't think a lot of people would say Matt Olson.
Remember when people lost their absolute mind when the Braves just basically let Freddie Freeman walk and then went and got Olson and we're like, what the heck? What's this about?
And they got him for way less. They got him for
a pretty good deal.
I mean, it's really worked out for both. Freddie Freeman has.
Oh, yeah. But the Braves have been able to lock up a bunch of their young guys as well, like on more team-friendly deals, and like they're doing it right in Atlanta. Like this team is not only built for right now; they're built for years to come.
They probably have. They have the NL MVP right now. If he continues what he's doing, I want Corbin Carroll to win, but it's right now. It is Ronald Acuna Jr.'s to lose. He has a chance. I think last I saw like 40 homers and like 80 stolen bases.
Yeah.
How do you not give it to a guy that does that? And he's probably going to have over 100 runs driven in. And his team is the best in baseball. How do you not give it to Ronald Acuna Jr.? I would love to see another Rookie of the Year MVP, but unfortunately, Ronald Acuna Jr. decides to be not human.
Yeah. Well, what is it? 20 home runs, 40 stolen bases, and 50 RBIs before the All-Star break?
I think
and that's never been done, right?
Correct. Yeah. This rule change with disengagements, Ronald Acuna Jr. is taking clear advantage of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and he I don't know if it's still going, but he had a streak going of like 13 games where he either had a home run or a stolen base in like 13 straight games.
Man is just like unreal. Yeah. It was 2 years ago that he tore his ACL in Miami, and anyone that follows sports knows that is a 18 to 24 months to really truly recover, and we're seeing it this year. Like
I was going to say, he is so last year,
but he is unworldly right now. He is He's amazing to watch. And obviously he's the starting, I think, right fielder in the All-Star game. Left field out. It doesn't matter. The outfield for the National League is Corbin Carroll, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Mookie Betts. I dare you to try and run on either three of those. Because the ball's going to be caught. So don't hit it high because that ball's going to get caught between the three.
Yeah.
But as we're talking about the All-Star game, let's talk about the Home Run Derby. We have our 8 participants. Luis Robert Jr., who I personally feel should be the starting center fielder now that Mike Trout is out. I think he should be starting. Adley Rutschman, who's probably, I think he might be the best catcher in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, if not, he's definitely at least top 3. And it's not like anyone's going to sit there and argue that point. I mean, definitely awesome to see what he's been doing in Baltimore and really helping that Baltimore team kind of rise from the ashes and get to the All-Star break with 50+ wins, which is wild.
You got the Polar Bear, Pete Alonso versus the hometown kid, Julio Rodriguez. It was really good to see that Julio was named as a replacement because Seattle didn't have any All-Stars after Sunday. I'm like, that's not a good look. And then we saw people were just not going to be in it. Like Clayton Kershaw's not in it. Aaron Judge is not in it. Now Mike Trout's not in it. So I think Seattle has 3 or 2 now. So that's good.
I hope they get another one and they put Blake Snell in there because being a Seattle kid, I think that'd be a pretty cool moment for him.
We got Doldis Garcia and Randy Arozarena. Texas, I think, has like 6 All-Stars. It's pretty much the American League infield. So funny. Just so funny.
Still in first place.
They are still in first place, but it's getting close.
By the skin, yeah, by the hair on their chinny chin right
they
now.
lost 3 of 4 to Houston last week.
Yeah.
So
I actually did, and that's why I was bummed Blake wasn't here. I actually did get a chance to watch a decent amount of that series. So I was looking forward to
Monday's game was insane. Monday's game was absolutely, it was like 12-11. I'm like, what is this?
Well, I know because I had Framber Valdez on my fantasy team, so I was like, "Oh, cool, the Astros are winning." And then I looked, why do I have negative points? And that was
why do I have negative 10 points? What is this? And then Mookie Betts versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So those are 8 participants. Do you want to go matchup by matchup, or do you just want to say your winner?
I mean, we could just say winners because I mean, like we could probably sit here and talk about this for like 25 minutes, but I'm gonna go with the hometown kid. I think Julio's gonna be there on a mission, and it's obviously like a big showcase for him, and it's a big showcase for the city of Seattle, and I think he's gonna go out there and he's just gonna put on an absolute show. But playoff Randy would be my other option.
I'm going Luis Robert Jr. He's been on fire. Like he's probably the second hottest home run hitter in the American League outside of Shohei right now. And it's really funny because it was in April. There's that one clip that went viral. It was a routine ground ball to short that he jogs out.
Yeah.
Pretty much since then, he's been on a tear.
He's like, let me jog.
He's like, let me jog and let me hit bombs. But I could see Pete Alonso winning it too.
You can make a case for every single guy. Like, there's a reason they're in there.
I don't think Mookie's gonna do. Mookie's not a home run hitter. He's a line drive hitter, and he just sometimes gets into one. Like the home run hitters in this are Vlad and Alonso. Everyone else, I feel, are just good hitters, and they just are able to hit it out. So it really, I think it depends on who's throwing to each of them. I'm curious to see if Alonso can win it for the 3rd time. I think this would be Vlad's 2nd. Thing to keep in mind, it's been happening a lot lately. The guy that wins the home run derby struggles the rest of the year. It happened with Juan Soto last year. It took Juan until like May 1st of this year for us to really see the true Juan Soto. It messes up their timing and their swing.
Well, and that's another reason I'm glad Tatis is not in this game because I know he would have put his name in the hat in the home run derby if he was an all-star. And the fact that he's not, I'm just like, oh, thank God. I don't need him out there destroying his shoulder somehow again.
Right. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch. That is next Monday. The All-Star game is next Tuesday. So crazy to think we're at the All-Star break already. Yeah. So the Diamondbacks. I can't stand our fan base. Anytime we go on a mini skid, like losing like 2 games, they act like the sky is falling, that the season is over. I'm like, y'all, it's a 162 game season. Yes.
5-0 in the third.
All right. So we got that. So when we got that Ryan Nelson back, so we got the real Ryan Nelson showed up. He had a great 2 starts, last 2 starts. It's fine. It's going to be our first sweep of the season, probably. Just score a run. That's the one thing I will say. Diamondbacks have not been shut out all season. They've scored at least 1 run in every game. So let's see if they can continue that. But the one thing I want them to get more than anything at the trade deadline, which we're probably 2 weeks away from starting to see some of that. I mean, the trade deadline is still August 1st. So still technically 4 weeks away. But I want a lights out shutdown closer, like a legit closer, not, oh, let's just take our hottest reliever right now and have him close the game. And he struggles. It's happened like 3 times this season. It's happened with Scott McGough. He was really, really good for 30 days, solid in the 7th and 8th, and then he comes in and he has a bad outing in the 9th. I'm like, I don't think a lot of people realize the mindset is different of getting that final 3 outs. It's not the same as getting 3 outs in the 7th, 3 outs in the 8th. It is different. Same thing happened with Miguel Castro. Miguel Castro had a really solid 30 days or so. He comes in to save a game against the Braves in a game that had we won, we would have won the series because it was 1-1 in the series at that point. He gives up a grand slam to Eddie Rosario. We end up losing the series. So, like, they have solid bullpen guys, but they just aren't good closers. I just don't know who we're going to trade for, because anyone that I can think of that I think is a shutdown closer, that team's not selling at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to probably have to seduce a team with one of their solid young prospects. I think the only person, Jordan Lawler's the only one I think that they won't trade. I think anyone else that's in the minors right now is up for a discussion. Jordan Lawler's the only one that's not. They have a lot of prospects that are playing right now, like Alex Thomas and Jake McCarthy, that they could dangle as trade bait, because we have a surplus of outfield. The amount of young outfielders that we have, I'm fine with trading 1 or 2 of them. If we can get a closer, he hasn't been doing very good lately, so we may be able to get him cheaper. Emmanuel Class A, but Cleveland's only 2 games back in the Central. They're not selling.
So yeah, I think this trade deadline is going to be very fascinating for a lot of reasons that you said. But I also do think, like, we're looking at a situation where if bullpen arms, they're going to be extremely valuable this trade deadlines, and I think teams that are going to be sellers are very aware of this and will squeeze everything they can to get quality talent to trade back. So, I mean, you said it's 2 weeks away. I mean, I could see teams really starting to make moves at the All-Star break, because I feel like a lot of these teams, you look at like the Padres, you look at the Phillies, a lot of these teams that are looking up at a bunch of guys that know they have enough talent to go on a run, they might pull that trigger early, because it's at this point, it's every game is extremely important. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of starts to transpire when it comes to the trade deadline. But I think the All-Star break, I think something will happen.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the teams that might be sellers and they don't have the bullpen arm, the closer that I feel is worth trading for. Maybe Bednard out of Pittsburgh, but I don't know if they're sellers right now.
Yeah.
Like they are on that, like they're 7 games out right now, which is a lot, but it's not a lot. But they have been trending downward the last month to 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, Pittsburgh's definitely struggled. I think Bednard's going to be a name that gets moves, and I think for the reason that I said, I think they know they're going to get enough pieces to make it valuable for them, and if it may not help them this year, it's going to help them in the next couple of years.
One team to keep an eye out for me on the second half, Seattle. Seattle's been playing pretty well lately. All the injuries with the Angels, I think the Angels are going to unfortunately start losing more than winning. So this would be a good time for Seattle to take advantage. Seattle currently is only 5 games out of that final wild card.
They are beating up on the Astros tonight.
They are playing the
Astros. Yeah, it's 5-1 in the top of the 9th.
So yeah, I think because and then who knows what Toronto and Boston are going to do. I think the Angels are probably going to come back down to earth, unfortunately, unless Ohtani just continues on the path that he was on in June and does it in July, August, and September. Because he's going to have to.
I feel like he could still be on that path, but I feel like these injuries that happened to them, losing Trout for as long as they did, I
think it's 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's 6 to 8 weeks, and I just don't see them being able to replace that talent. I mean, it's Mike Trout, for God's sake. Like, you're not going to just replace him with other pieces on the field, and it's like they already struggle. So it's another tough season for the Angels when you see another freak injury like this kind of take them out of it. It's just you feel bad for them. You do.
You really do. They haven't made the playoffs since Mike Trout's rookie season, and they got swept by the Kansas City Royals, which I believe that was the year where they literally swept the entire American League playoffs. They didn't lose a single game into the World Series, which is crazy. It's so crazy to think about. Who's your team to watch outside of the Padres for the second half of the season, AL or NL?
I mean, they've already had a strong first half of the season, but it's the Miami Marlins. Like, you look at what Skip Schumacher's done with that team. I mean, we've talked about him a lot the first half of the season. Sandy Alcantara has really not been that guy, but they're still doing what they're doing. Like, they're hanging around. Like, yeah, they're only like 7 games back of the Braves, who have just been on a world-beating tear. But, I mean, I think Miami is going to be a very, very fascinating team to watch. I mean, Cincinnati leading the NL Central right now. Like, they've been a lot of fun to watch too. But I don't know, man. There's something about that Marlins team. It's going to be something to keep an eye on the second half of the season.
And we also want to keep an eye on Luis Arias.
What is he, 388 now?
Yeah, I think last time I checked, it was 388. Is he going to hit 400? There's been a lot of discussion that if he hits 400, they should give him NL MVP because no one's hit 400 in a season. I'm like, yes, it's impressive what he's doing, but just look deeper at the numbers.
That's why Judge got the MVP last year.
But if you look, it's literally just singles. Like he doesn't hit doubles. He doesn't hit homers. Doesn't really drive in a lot. He doesn't swing at bad pitches. Like his swing rate is super low. Yes, it's super impressive what he's done.
3 home runs all year.
Yeah. He's just he's just hitting to get on base.
Yeah.
Like he's just hitting them where guys aren't, which is, if you're going to hit 400, that's probably the way to do it is contact hitting, not power hitting. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think Corbin Carroll is above him for NL MVP. I still think Acuna's just...
Yeah, I think it's Acuna's world, and we're just living in it right now.
We really, really are. He's been so impressive. Any parting thoughts?
I mean, really, obviously, I'm kind of grateful we haven't done this show the last couple of weeks because I probably would have been a bitter mess the last couple of weeks. My boys have been struggling mercilessly, but great series. Like we were talking about it before we came on to it. It's like, they really could have flipped some wins in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Obviously they didn't, but they came home. Great sweep against the Angels. Mets coming in this weekend. Really, really have an opportunity to get things rolling before the All-Star break because as we were talking about, it's kind of a rough welcome to reality after the All-Star break. Going to Philly, going to Toronto, like this team's really going to be tested the next 2 weeks, and I think we're going to find out if they truly are a playoff team in the next 2 weeks.
So all right, so we have 9 games between with the Mets, 10 games between the Mets, Phillies,
doubleheader,
and Toronto. If they go, they have to.
If they go 4-6, I think the season
sellers.
Would be.
Yeah, I'm like.
I mean, that's a whole conversation we can have. Do you sell Snell? Do you sell Hader? Because those are 2 guys that I think could easily be movable pieces, especially with Suarez coming back eventually.
I have asked you like twice the last month, what would it take for Snell? Because we need a legit third starting pitcher, and it's not April, and we all know what Snell does once it turns to May and June.
I mean, look at what he's done. Yeah, he's been on a tear.
Like,
I think he's going home to Seattle regardless of what happens at the end of the season. So
they could. I mean, you can always use more starting pitching like that. Like you can never have enough starting pitching depth. So yeah, I say they've got it. I mean, I said this in that stretch of 9 that they just had. I thought they had to go like 7-2, 6-3, and they did. They went 2-7. But this next 10, at the least, you got to go 6-4. You have to win all 3 of those series.
Yeah, you have to.
Like, I haven't done the math on it, but I'm very curious. The rest of the season, if they won 2 of 3 for every series, is that it? I don't think that'd be enough for the wild card.
It also depends what other teams do, man. The schedule's different this year. Teams are playing more quality. I don't know. Just handle. Don't worry about other people. Just control what you can control, and that's winning baseball games.
1 pitch at a time, 1 inning at a time, 1 game at a time. Don't worry. Don't try and think, oh, we have to win 7 the next 10. Just win 1 game. And just hope that the teams in front of you, like the Giants and Philly, struggle. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to today's episode. For Chris and I, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you have not. Make sure to follow our socials in the description box below. See y'all next time.